Hello, good evening everyone, and welcome to the GeekGirlCon Twitch channel. My name is Teryn from the Twitch team, pronoun she, her. I'm in kind of a gray sweater down here in the bottom right corner, and tonight we have a very special guest if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Rabecca Rocha. I'm a 3D and 2D artist. My pronouns are she, her, and I have brown hair and I'm in a blue NASA hoodie.
Awesome. And tonight we're going to be playing Unusual Wind, and our special guest is very special because you did the watercolor artwork for this game.
Correct. So what I did was I painted each individual background, moon, and the sun in watercolor, scanned it, edited it, and submitted it to my developers to be implemented into the game.
Awesome. So yeah, that was definitely one of my questions was about because I saw, if we go to the game page, that you're listed as the watercolor artist, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of my questions was okay, does that mean you were actually painting with watercolor on paper, or is that the style, or, but it sounds like you actually did use like a paper canvas and then scanned it, right?
Yeah. So one of the requests when they were searching for an artist, because I found them through our Seattle Indies Discord, wink wink, was they were looking for a watercolor artist, a stylized cartoony one. And I said, wow, hey, that's something that I do. So I submitted, hey, if you'd be interested, this is my style of artwork, and that's how it panned out.
Awesome. I guess we'll get into the game. We'll play a little bit, and you can see some of the art in motion. Yeah, it's a very peaceful. It says it's a meditative experience on the game home with some lovely symphonic sound.
Let's get into it.
So I have, spoiler alert, played through the game before, but I will not spoil the ending or what happens for. Very peaceful, very windy game. So when we see the wind effects everywhere, are those also your watercolor strokes? And did you also make those?
No, I did not. So the dandelion, the trees, and some of the clouds, those were digitally done by June Prado, another artist on the team. She hand animated those streams of air and the bird as well. And what's really cool is that I had originally done a painting of clouds. I had initially had them, but we needed them separated out. So what she did is she took the reference for the clouds that I had originally painted and then recreated them in 3D. So it was this really beautiful mishmash of us her kind of collaborating on, playing off of an idea that I had. So June is incredible artist, and so that's all her.
Oh, shout out. Because it does look like someone just animated a watercolor painting.
Yeah.
With the brush strokes and stuff. So it's cool that really fits into the style. Just it all together.
It really blends well because typically, sometimes 2D can seem rather stark, but those windmills, those were mine. And what I was able to do with Coleman, who's also one of the developers, Coleman Anderson, he took the windmill, the windmilly part, the spinny, the fans, and was able to break it up and make it turn. So those lightning bolts are also June as well, but that's my son in the background, the mountains of brush and the hay, the wheat field, rather. Those were mine.
Yeah, that's cool how everything fits together, because that was, looking into game development, you're like, oh, I can do this, and or maybe you can code but you can't draw, or maybe you can draw but you can't code, and learning how those pieces can fit together in the different roles is really fascinating.
Most fun part is, even while I was painting it, I was thinking to myself, how is this going to come together? Because this looks like painting, obviously, my watercolor, how is this painting going to fit into a game, right? Because having something as stark as 2D, you sort of have to work with it. So I really love what Coleman did with blending it into night and then into morning. He does such a beautiful job of it. And of course, the music is really calming.
Yeah. I pause it for a second here because I noticed a shift in like how the sky changed colors. So
Hmm.
that was another one of my questions was like because the background like sky sort of gradually shifts, like different stuff comes in and out, but like when you scan them together, did you have to kind of overlap the different pages so that it could like be kind of like seamless together, or like how did that come in?
So in a way, yes, there are
Mhm.
certain ground levels where the wheat field turns into sand and then turns into water. And then the water goes from water to grass and dirt. And that was a really fun blending. That was a really fun blending to be able to get down. The sky, however, I think was a little trick because I painted night and then I painted day, and there's a mixture in between that the dev team made so that it blended really well. They did a really great job with making it seem like the sun was rising or the sun was setting.
Yeah. So I'm looking, looks like we have some choppy. It says we have no drop frames. We also see the frame rate is not 60 frames.
Okay.
See if I.
Thanks for hanging in there, y'all.
Yeah, so they can hear us just fine. It's just I guess. Is it our cameras or just the game or that is a copy for. It says it's 60 FPS now, but I don't know if OBS
Okay.
is trying to make is not being forthcoming about how it is for those of you.
Mhm.
Better. Okay.
No,
Maybe it's just
excellent.
while the game is playing, it might stop things up, or it could just be Xfinity dropping the ball once again. Now I'm not afraid to throw them. So yeah, seems to be okay
Mhm.
for now.
Okay.
So we'll keep going. But yeah, I like the subtle change from like the all blue to like now we have like the sun went down and it's like now sunset time of day
Mhm.
as we go over the ocean.
I would love to
A little bit
take
more. Mhm.
I would love to take more credit for that, but I think I'm gonna give the actual blending of like sky, sunset to sunrise to Spencer and Coleman. I think that was their magic in Unity. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I see it drop into like 2010 frames a second, so I'm not sure. CPU jumping. Oh, is it? Okay, it says 60 now, so hopefully it'll be better for everyone. Maybe let's play a little bit more of the. Yeah, Google Chrome just wants to jump up to like 100% CPU, so that could be
Oh
part of the
no.
problem.
Okay. Oh
So I
no.
don't know why Google Chrome is acting up, but this recording we're recording it for YouTube, which should just be the live capture from my device without the internet shenanigans. So um, that should be better for everyone.
Hang in there, everyone. I believe also Unusual Wind will be linked in the description.
Yeah,
The
I can get a link
itch.
to it.
That works.
I'm gonna refresh the game.
All right.
Yeah, it could just be that because I'm playing the game in browser. It could just be angry. Yeah, I tried to play it on its own, but the itch desktop did not want to play this game. Threw up an error message, so yeah, I'll just play through. It's a pretty short game, and hopefully you'll at least be able to see some of the artwork and you can hear our audio throughout. So. Yeah, check the VOD for the full Let's Play experience. Unbothered by things such as frame rate not matching up. But yeah, it is a very pretty game. It is a very much a meditative experience. And then there's a surprise ending, so we'll get to see that as well. So that was, without spoiling, that was one of my questions, were you aware of the surprise ending during development, or is that a surprise when you saw, like, the finished game?
I had no idea. And it took me a second because I did not know how to react.
Yeah.
Also, before I forget, I was very proud of that mountain that you just passed.
Yeah.
It's using watercolor and pencil, which is what I rarely use color pencils. It's a hard medium. Anyway, I had no idea, and I was offended at first, and then I laughed. And when I ran into Coleman and the team, when I ran into Coleman in person at one of the last networking events, kind of apologized, and I'm like, don't apologize. This game is true to who you are. I think if it reflects your humor, you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, it is definitely a unique experience. I'll say that.
I would heartily agree. But now that I've had time to think about it, I kind of chuckled at myself, and it's been well received by every single one of my friends. So my grandmother would get a kick out of it without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
So all I know is that I had a blast making it, and I really enjoyed playing it. I played it more than once too. Typically with games that I participate on, whether it's with game jams or just making a general game, I kind of like an actor who doesn't really watch their own movies.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same for the most part with the games that I've helped create. I rarely kind of go back and like play it again, but this one I did.
Yeah, and it just kind of loops back together as well. Like after the ending, it's like, oh well, it just folds back into the same sort of peaceful. It's
like a less infuriating Flappy Bird, I think.
That's what I was trying to. It came to mind. It was definitely, that was a very millennial moment with Flappy Bird. But yeah, very, very memorable.
That VFX, I believe, is also Coleman.
Oh, the dimming of the light.
The dimming of the light, but also the shininess of the dandelion.
Oh yeah.
I remember I'm so proud of that moon. The very first time that I saw these assets in game with both my paintings as well as June's art drawings, it was really cool to see it come together. So if you look closely, you can kind of see the ocean doing its little
ocean. Oh yeah.
Its little thing.
Oh yeah, it goes up and down. There's a lot of little pretty background. Yeah, I like when the 2D games have them. You can tell there's like depth to each scene, like different things happening. Different.
Here comes the sun.
Now the sky's like blue and yellow. Yeah, I'm gonna look at some, yeah, unfortunately the stream, well, we're almost to the end, and then I think I'll close the tab that the game's on, and it should be a lot better for those at home. Almost made it. What is the source of the unusual wind? Ta-da! We did
Mm-hmm.
it. We've solved the mystery. Now we're New Game Plus.
Yes, I had no clue, and I was like,
I'm gonna go ahead and pause and close. Let me go back to it. Oh. That should be better.
go. Hopefully it helps.
Frame rate wise.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now we'll take a look at the game page. That was the top secret art, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Simon's work there at the end.
Mm-hmm. It is
Um,
crass, but I reflected a lot on art and how other people, how folks just, I guess, they carve themselves,
mm,
carve their name in a way into their own lane. And so anyhow, I had a
yeah.
little chuckle.
Yeah, because like you're reading this and you're like, why is this game mature? And then you
Yeah.
it's like, I wonder
Yeah.
what dark, horrifying secrets could await in this lovely um little game. And it's like, oh, well. But yeah, it does definitely it makes it stand out for sure. You know
Uh,
when it's over. You know when you've completed
yeah,
a gameplay loop. I
you
have
know what
not
it's over.
does it play the same thing again if you go through the loop a second time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. But it's only one way to find out.
There is. I'm
But
seeing
yeah,
frame rate is much, much better. We're not dropping any frames at all now that the game is
you're
closed. So I think Chrome was just mad having to play the game in browser.
I
Um,
wouldn't be surprised. And
so
running Discord, in
I know
OBS.
I am
That's
streaming to
surprising.
Discord as well, so Rebecca can watch along everyone at home. So we should be good now. Sorry about that, the frame rate.
Thanks all.
But yeah, we're good. So maybe do you want to go into some concept artwork and then maybe talk about designing some of the assets for the game?
Sure. So initially, I was given, hey, we would love for you to draw some backgrounds, and I was given a list. And the funny thing is, I'm by trade a 3D environment artist, and when I went to go paint these pieces, they were like, you need a lot less detail, actually. So if you look at the mountains or if you look at any of the hills that I drew, they're mostly just heavily shaded. There's not as much detail because they didn't need it, but it was really funny kind of needing to go back and bring in less detail, but
Mhm.
speaking with the color. So it's not that it's devoid of any kind of texturing, but I really had to dial it back. And it was really funny sort of going back and seeing the progression of like, oh, okay, I can do that. So for example, I have the sketchbook here that I did it in. This is
Oh,
the
cool.
sky. I know it's a little blurry, but um it was all from here, all from the sketchbook that I was able to then scan it, go in and edit it. And originally, like, the grass was a bit more lush, a bit more detailed, like going in and being more granular with it, and realizing that just was not something that I needed to do. So a lot of the concept work was really playing off of like, okay, this is what we're aiming for. And I believe they gave me, there you go. They gave me a reference to sort of work off of. And then I sort of played off of that.
Yeah, so I have up your tree artwork. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, you can see that sort of is what the beginning sort of foresty part is that loops around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so did you also do like the grass in front, or was that also the digital artist that
Well, that was me. That was
That was you
me.
as well. Okay.
June did a beautiful job with the trees
Hmm.
and some grass and birds.
Hmm.
But each individual piece, it almost fits like, one of those old-timey theaters where they have the water that moves on or in front of the stage or grass that kind of moves on its own. That's something I did similarly with the pieces that they're all kind of cut up individually so they could play inside of the video game. So, that's how it was done. It was sort of individually and then without a background so you could kind of juxtapose it into the game wherever you see fit.
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of put up both the video game homepage and the your concept artwork sort of side by side on screen here, so you
Mm.
can sort of see how like it worked on paper versus how it works like in the game with all the other elements put
Yeah.
into it. So I wanted to ask you also about the collaborative process because like you mentioned a little bit pre-stream that it was like a mix of a lot of different things during game
Mhm.
development. So how did like you collaborate with the other artists? Was there a lot of collaboration? Like how did sort of things come together with how you worked?
So, I have a pretty huge background in digital art.
On?
So I know I own my own business as a 2D artist, but I also know digital art. So there was very minimal collaboration. It was more or less that we would share each of our updates with the progression of the asset pieces we were set to work on. So June saw some of the clouds that had originally painted, but the sky needed to be just blue. Not blue in clouds, but just blue. So she was then able to kind of play off of the clouds that I had originally painted because she loved the shape and
Mm-hmm.
was able to keep that shape in the game. So there was a little bit of it here and there, but we mostly made this game asynchronously. That means not all at the same time. We were in any kind of meetings. It was more or less like, hey, here's the updates, here's what we need, here's the format we need it in. And if it needed any kind of editing, um, Coleman played developer, but he was also sort of the producer as well. So he would say, hey, I love this, but I need it this way. And that's sort of how we were able to kind of asynchronously make this game together.
Well, yeah, because you mentioned they were looking for like a watercolor artist specifically,
Yeah.
which is how you joined the team. So yeah, it's good. It's interesting to hear how like that all fits together with the production. Yeah, let's see. We also have photo of the grass. So like all the lighting changes then because it's so much darker, obviously at the nighttime where it was actually used in
Hmm.
the game. So that was done by Coleman as well. The sort of
Correct.
like lighting
So
effects.
what they're able to do in Unity is be able to create sort of a spotlight or say, hey, I want it light here, but dark over here. And that's how you're able to see the moon lit up on its own, which is so fun because the moon carries you into the night,
Hmm.
into the day, sinks down, and then the sun rises up. That was done in Unity. And I think it's such a fun play to use those 2D and then VFX, special effects and Unity together because a lot of the times, even in school, they're like, it can't be done, and it totally can. You just have to sort of show the audience in a believable way, and I think that's what Coleman did and
That
Spencer.
the last piece we have here is the cute little. Well, I say cute. They kind of have evil eyes and horns, but the buffalo.
Yeah,
I think they're
yeah.
cute. I don't know.
The
Um,
buffalo didn't end up making it into the game. They needed to be made individually, but I wanted to show it because it was sort of a nice to have,
mhm.
but it was also one of those situations where it needed to be dumbed down a little bit. It needed to just be like one buffalo, but I don't believe it actually made it into the game. But it was fun. It was a fun study in painting a buffalo herd. Not
Yeah.
only just painting a buffalo herd, but it's not a high detail buffalo herd. It's like buffalo from a distance mid-run, right?
Mm.
So, how do you paint a buffalo distant mid-run and not go into high detail about it as a detailed, environment artist?
Yeah, there
So,
was a herd of something traveling through the like wheatgrass, um,
it might have
but
been it.
it's difficult to tell. They were obscured in the night.
Right.
Having seen buffalo in person, they're about as big as cars, so they are pretty terrifying. Um,
Yeah, they
um,
are.
but yeah, they are. I think it fits well into like, because that's when it's like transitioning from like, the sun's going down, it's getting a little bit darker. So, like, it does like still fit into like, the transitory when you're going from like the peaceful daytime to like, I think it all fits into. But yeah, that's a sad thing about working in development is that you work on so many cool, don't get to see the light of day. Um,
Mhm.
so it's nice that like, you know, so much of the artwork is like showcased and awesome to see.
That's why I will just forever be working on personal art is because I get to, show it whenever I want. And the one thing I really wish more people would ask me to paint the moon. I want to paint
Yeah,
more backgrounds. That was so fun. Being able to step away from, buildings and other such things to kind of paint more
yeah. I
organic
mean,
things.
I love it because like I always love at some point because like this is what I did when I was a kid playing. You play the same games over and over again. Is that
Hmm.
you try and like get more details every time. So I'd always like look up at the sky in the games because like that was like amazing to me as a child playing a 3D game. Was that like you could look up at the sky, like it was there, and you
Hmm.
can look around. So like I always appreciate night sky and just like pause and look. It just adds so much to the area that you're in, and for 2D games. Oh,
Yeah.
it looks. You can see it on the background on screen. The moon.
But then it also poses the question is how do you paint the sun?
Mm,
How do you paint the sun, right? It's not yellow. I mean, it's not just yellow. It has hues of orange, it has black spots, and how do you paint that where it looks like a sun without like the silly little rays around it, right?
yeah.
Um, so that was a really fun and interesting challenge to convey convey a very simple simple looking object that's believable and looks like what it is. So you're not looking at the sun and thinking, "What is that orange doing?"
Hmm.
Inside of this game.
Yeah, because like the moon is so detailed, but then like the sun, you really can't see any detail. Well, you shouldn't
Mhm.
look at the sun, folks.
Well,
But when
well,
if
that
you were to like, we can't really see as many details as so. Like, how do you
yeah,
like fit that into the art style, that you have with like the watercolor like aesthetic style?
exactly. But the aha trick that I always have is the sun is pretty detailed. It has orange and yellow and a swirl in the middle. It has the details in it, but I think because you're not looking at this game at a microscopic level, it just kind of floats by. And again, the developers did such a beautiful, amazing job of like, it becomes part of the game. It doesn't like, I guess, detract you from you, the dandelion that's
Mhm.
floating around in it.
The dandelion making more dandelion.
Yes. Click.
Yeah, and I do like that the gameplay loop like feeds into that where you can like you just immediately go into it and now you're like, oh, I can look for more. I can look background that time.
Mhm.
Just like all kind of flows together that makes it.
In case I haven't mentioned it, the music is beautiful, beautifully done. Um, every single time I get on a project with a composer or an audio person, it really takes that game to another level. And I've made plenty games after, I've been in this industry for 8 years.
Mhm.
And it's really cool to see how well it fits with with the game itself.
Yeah, shout out to Angela Hinsmarica.
Well done. I forgot to mention earlier in the stream that Coleman considered considered making the game without the ending.
Mhm.
And I toyed with it because I think it's a really fun portfolio piece.
Mhm.
But I want him ultimately to be true to the his intention with the game. So there's no pressure from anyone on our team. We were just surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's intended to surprise.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person who would play that and be like, that's exactly what I expected. It's very intentionally jarring and like has its own top secret artist um,
Yes.
credited. So I was like, yeah, I don't think that's the same style Rebecca used for the rest of it. So it's probably. And then I looked at the credits again. I was like, oh, that would.
Oh, there it is.
If there's other
I
top secret art and that wasn't it, I would be surprised.
Yeah, it was so secret. He wasn't even I think in like the group chat on Discord for it. So I
Oh,
had
sad. Not in the group
zero
chat.
clue. No, he wasn't in the group chat. Sorry,
Oh
Simon.
no. Yeah, but still gets a good shout out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all the questions I had about the game. Do you want to talk about you sent me some of your other work as an artist? Do you want to talk a little bit
Sure.
about more about your experience in the industry? Um, maybe we could take a look at some of the other pieces you sent if you want to talk about. Oh, do you want to talk about? I don't watch all of the Star Wars. I believe this is a Mandalorian. Um,
Yes.
with
So
a baby Yoda. I don't know the actual name.
no worries. I'll give you my spiel. So, once again, my name is Rabecca Rocha. I've been in the games industry for 8 years. I started as a game tester on the Microsoft Xbox One, and I quickly made my way over to VR, Amazon. I have worked with Lamplighters League and Harebrained Scheme, who's a very, very spaceship as a production artist. And so it's been a long journey of just learning to carve out my own lane within the games industry. And what I wanted to do and what I pivoted into in 2023 was a long time coming as a 3D artist. That being said, I do own my own business. I run Mouse Cat Studios. There will be a link in the description later, but I painted this for the Star Wars exhibit at Nepantla Cultural Art Gallery. So that you see there is the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, aka Greg, Grogu. And there is actually something special about this rendering that I did. It is all three countries which my family is from. So on Mando's helmet is the Guatemalan flag. Um, Greg, Baby Yoda, he's holding a Mexican and Colombian flag. So those are the three, nationalities that are in my blood that I put into the artwork. And I have a hand painted acrylic painting of this. This is the simplified, really simplified, but this is the digital version of it. You can buy the stickers if you wanna. But it's a piece that I'm very proud of because I was able to put my heritage into my fandom. So it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So I love to draw, I love to paint, and I also, do more um hyper stylized 3D environment pieces as well.
Yeah, and we've seen on our channel way back when you did a lovely art demonstration for us on how to do some like 3D modeling of I think it was a hospital bed like a girl.
Yeah,
Um
that was a lot of fun.
yeah, so a quick little did you use Maya for that?
I did.
Yeah.
Use Maya and I ran out of time, but I'd really love to sink my teeth on stream into Substance Painter and some of the other software programs that I use, like Unreal, which is a game engine,
Mhm.
very similar to Unity. But yeah,
Yeah, and I posted some links in chat. We'll have them on the description for the YouTube video as well. Becca's work, ArtStation, and Instagram for artwork respectfully.
yes,
So yeah, let's go. Last one I think was La Artista. You wearing is that the same NASA sweatshirt that you have on now?
could be, could very
Could
well
be.
be. Could be. I don't.
Last one was your short video.
Oh yeah, my 3D art piece.
Ah, there it is.
There it is.
I'm,
Yeah. So that was another piece that's done in acrylics, and I wanted to sort of display, the artist, in the Mayan style. There are so many facets of who we are, and I think one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I said, especially on stream, is that you don't only have to do one thing. One of the things that made me so happy, especially about working on this team, is when Coleman reached out to me. He told me he wanted watercolor pieces in my style. So this is another element of what I'm capable of doing. Is I'm a 3D artist, and I wanted to incorporate Encanto into my 3D work. So I was like, well, what would my door look like if I had a door in the casita? What would it look like? It would of course have a moon and be covered in plants and color. So yeah, I just wanted to give the audience just a broad stroke of what I do. And that making really cool things for games, it doesn't need to necessarily be one way. It doesn't have to be just 2D. It doesn't have to be just 3D. It could be both. It could be both things. There's room for it.
yeah, and like I've seen like I've like barely dipped my toes into like these software, so I'm definitely not nowhere near an expert. Like I've seen
Mhm.
how like animation can use 3D environments to like add that immediate depth to it. Like if you have a mirror, you can like have like an image behind the mirror, sort of like layer, like you can like sort of stack up your like different layers as they animate together, and like so like you're using the three like effect of like looking around in a scene, like maybe fixing the lighting, but you're also like painting the 2D assets to like fit those spaces. So like there's absolutely ways that like different art styles can mush together something.
There's so much available right now in
Mhm.
terms of um, resources, where to start, and there's a lot, and I mean a lot of free software packages to kind of get you started. So I will leave the Googling up to y'all, but it's out there. I did go to school. I went to school for 4 years at the Art Institute of Seattle. You get in what you put out. You put in what you get out. But I am I'm proud to have seen my own work evolve, especially in the past year, being able to just put all of my time and energy into it. And so it's been a lot of fun. I could talk about it really for ages, but I would love to see just more folks trusting their artistic intuition, because I wouldn't have gotten this gig if I didn't draw and paint the way that I did.
Oh, I think that's
Yeah.
awesome when games use like hand drawn or
Mhm.
pieces. It just makes it feel so much more like full of life. That like you usually think that like, oh well, technology progresses, everything goes 3D, but like there really is a lot of stuff you can get out of like 2D animation,
Mhm.
2D environments and things. Like it's totally a medium that's open all sorts of new things.
My
I
under
see that.
Thanks. My understanding of textures is because of my knowledge of painting materials, hand painting them. And I still do to this day. It's not all like just preset things. A lot of it really is me taking it and painting it in Photoshop and putting it onto a 3D piece.
Yeah. So questions about this your Becca content
Hmm.
here. So did you like for some of the textures in this and for like your image on the door, did you like paint that and then like import it, or was that something you created like in the software? Um, like I guess how did you sort of make this piece?
A bit of both. So a lot of the times you build up like say the door frame, for example, right? You build that up in Maya. I typically export it into Substance Painter after I've unwrapped it. I hand unwrap it. I know there are tool sets to do that, but I don't automate everything. And then I'll paint it in Substance Painter. I'll use typically like wood that I painted myself. And then kind of go in and tweak because it's more stylized. It's just a little bit less hyper realistic. But the squares that you see on the door frame, those were hand painted in Photoshop and then brought into Substance Painter. So it's more often than not, I'm jumping between softwares. I'm going here, tweak, 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 bring it over here, tweak, tweak, tweak. So it really is what is your intention, and like, because what was sticking in my head was how do I want this to look? And how can I work with the software to get it to look like that? Right. So, because nothing, um, unless you kind of paint the wood, it's not going to be purple, right? But that's sort of what I did. So, I have my own workflow. Every single artist has their style of workflow, but that's how I did it. And then once I felt like it was in a good position, I export it back out. I bring it into Engine. And what that means is I bring it in Unreal to render it and make it look all shiny and pretty. Um, but it's a personal preference of how I want to essentially get it ready to be portfolio ready. And that is up to every single person or every single artist is like, all right, how do you want this to look? And how do you want this to behave? Do you want to play in it or do you want to see a cinematic of it? It really is up to you.
Yeah, it's cool hearing about it because like you can. I hope you can see this on stream, but like you can see the textures of the wood through like the purple, all the little like
Mhm.
dots in the wood stuff. Yeah, it looks very cool to see like the details together. It's
Thank you.
awesome.
I
Or
had a lot
it's
of
cool.
fun. So the hanging papers
Hmm.
that you see on the side, those are called papelitos. Those are usually hung up either in celebration or around Dia de los Muertos. I had a lot of fun bringing those in and also making them sway in the wind.
Yeah.
So what this project taught me how to do was play a little bit with the visual effects in Unreal. And there are little tweaks you can do to make the scene feel alive. And I did the same with the plants. It's a little bit more subtle. But those are just some of the things to think about as you render something out. It's like it's not really one and done. It's like, how can I make this look like it's living and breathing?
Yeah, I'm replaying it so you can see how they kind of flutter in the,
Yeah.
and it does add to the atmosphere
Yeah.
for sure. Right, well, that's all I had for you today. I hope everyone enjoyed. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave any comments, questions. Yeah, it's so great having you today and talking about like you said, 8 years in this industry is a lot of time to build
Mhm.
up all those different skills that you projects. Super awesome to hear how you can use all of it, both like what you can maybe get from a formal education and also like just doing things.
Mhm.
Awesome to hear.
Thanks. I mean, honestly, I learned so much after school and I'm in my late 30s. So I'm here to just remind folks that it really is never too late to pivot in your career and actually go after what you want. So take that risk and go for it.
Silent applause there. Yeah, for sure. Keep doing things. Keep learning.
Yeah.
What I want to keep doing. I have to remind myself to do. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, answering all these questions, playing through the game with us. Super awesome to hear about all your.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, and thank you at home for watching. As I mentioned, this will be up on YouTube. Everyone has a good night. Thanks for
Good night,
watching.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.